I think we have full quorum.
Yeah, let's start. Last week I was reviewing Honan's PR to add the admin socket and Trimmer's PR to add the alienized blue store. The alienized blue store is pretty close. It's just I said some from Neat is ready for merge, I guess, and also reviewing with Exchange to bring the watch notify support to Crimson. Also, I was reading the BTRFS source code in kernel 5.5 and the related text, like the paper on BTRFS. Also, I'm working on the preliminary design for Crimson. Oh, sorry, for the B-tree support in Crimson. I'm posting the URL in the chat window. Sam, if you get a chance, you could take a very quick look at it to see if there is something terribly wrong or diverge from your design. That's about me. By the way, next week will be the Chinese Spring Festival, so I won't be able to make the next stand up. That's me. Trime.
I'm still working on the PR comments. I got your new comments, and I will try my best to resubmit within 2 hours. So hope we can finish it before the Spring Festival. Okay, no much other works. Just working on the comments. I can't hear you.
We are not hearing you. Kifu?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. I'm asking Trime if she's on vacation next week or not.
I'm not on vacation. I'm in the USA. No Chinese festival.
Okay. Okay. Bummer.
So do you mean we will cancel the weekly meeting next week?
I could join the weekly meeting, but I won't make any significant progress by then. So I will be a tourist.
Okay, so you still suggest we have the hold meeting on time?
Either way, if you guys want to have a stand up, that would be great. Because I think most of you will want to have the vacation.
At that time. Yeah, but let's do the stand up next week.
Yes.
3 of us. You, Yingxin, and Xuehan?
And Xuehan, I guess.
Yeah, 3 of us will take
yes.
The Redec.
So, okay.
So I think
please continue.
Most of you guys will have the stand up, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a good place for questions, discussions. It's not no decisions will be made, but it might be a good idea to have a forum for questions next week.
Yes, I think so. Redec.
Last week, the most important thing from last week was our discussion with Avi on CFDev in the matter of our rights performance. I think we explained why we really need to differentiate the behavior regarding the native versus POSIX stacks of SeaStor. However, I'm still waiting for a response from Avi. I sent last email on Thursday. Avi hasn't responded yet. However, I found that SkylaDB has a Slack and registered there yesterday. I wasn't available, but I will try today to catch him and ask what his opinion on the differentiation. Other things. I've
By the way,
sent
it
a
was
PR.
I think it was
Yes,
interesting
continue.
discussion. I wanted to say that it was an interesting discussion between you two in the email.
Well, nice to hear. Still, we need to get the right performance done sooner or later. Let's do it. It's sooner, as we already started the reiteration. Anyway, from other things, I've sent a thin wrapper over atomics to help Crimson with the first appliance in buffer list. Also, from non-Crimson things.
Sorry, Radek, what is the reason for this?
Okay, in Crimson, even if we decide to go with the multi-threaded approach, we will always have shared nothing approach. So any atomical operation is in Crimson. It's not only rudimentary. It's also wasteful, because even in single-threaded environment, perfectly single-threaded environments, shared nothing, use atomical operations on x86 still drain all load and store queues. They are pretty costly.
So what you did is just change the common code to use a do nothing atomic.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Ceph atomic in the same manner as Kifu did with Ceph mutexes.
Yes,
That's
okay.
absolutely the same.
Close to what we have in Trimis branch, where we have we differentiate between the implementation for SeaStor and for non-SeaStor based on the namespace name.
Okay, thanks.
From non-Crimson things, some fixes for buffer list related to last P hint handling. It's, if I recall correctly, it's already merged because there is a bug there. However, we decided to resurrect the old idea to kill last P entirely, and I'm working on it right now. After finishing, which won't take too much, I will be looking for a new, bigger task in Crimson. Guys, what do we have on the page? For instance, is recovery available yet? Still available?
Johan and Sam, do you have any comment regarding the recovery and backfill?
He's looking for work. He's looking for a task to do.
So, okay, if you guys want to work on recovery, I've been, which I think would be a good thing to do, I've been talking to, let me just show you on this document, actually, just a half sec. Right now...
Sam, just one comment. You're aware that you have a camera, but it's blank.
Oh, how's that? Sorry.
It's less dark, you know.
Okay. So the thing about recovery is you actually need to know absolutely everything about how Steph does recovery. So step one of that is, I guess, learning that. I've been working through this with Zuhan. I'm probably mispronouncing, but and we've been working on a document. So I will add you to this document, and you can help participate, sort of filling it in and answering questions and well, understanding how it works, I suppose. Anyone else want in?
Can you share it?
Okay, thanks.
Just share it with everybody so I can just learn from it.
Sure.
Well, I've never poked with recovery and backfill yet, but I would love to learn.
I think that probably it's not quite related to to recovery. I just realized
is.
that we,
So the things we need to implement at the moment are, so first off, we're not writing the log entries on writes at all. So the log handling isn't present yet. So that's probably the first step. Then we also need to implement log-based recovery, async recovery, and backfill. Those are just like things we have to be, a storage system.
I see. It looks like we could divide into multiple stages.
Could be, but the first step, honestly, is to be experts on how recovery works. It took me a few months to learn it, so like no joke. There's no way you can we're not. It's basic. There is no part of Rados that this doesn't touch. Let me put it that way.
I think another task could be
it's
to
everywhere.
enable Crimson to delete
No,
PG.
more importantly, the exact details of how recovery work are the flip side of why the write guarantees are what they are. So if you change how recovery works, you also have to change how writes work and reads work. So those three things are sort of a triangle. You need to understand how they all fit together to understand why the rules are what they are. Some parts of it are written down. There are some documents in DocDev OSD internals, which I suggest you read all of. But it's honestly just full of subtle, undocumented rules.
I see.
Don't get me wrong. Don't be like too scared. It's totally learnable. It's just, it's not just a write down a design document and then write the code thing. The exact way it works in Classic is a matter of historical happenstance. And if at all humanly possible, we don't want to copy the same structure over because it's much harder to understand than it needs to be. But to do it in a more clear fashion, you have to know why it works the way it does. So,
I see. A lot of research are called reading dependency to actually word map.
don't get me wrong. Like, if you want to write core OSD code, this is it. So, you were going to want to learn it eventually, I think.
Sooner or later, we will. Well, no way to get Crimson into production without backfill without recovery.
Yeah,
we need to do
this is
sooner
where
or
bugs
later.
happen. So when you're supporting customers, this is it. So
Sam, can we start with code to remove a PG? I just realized we are able to create a PG in Crimson, but we never delete them.
I'm actually not as worried about that. But
removed.
yeah, if you want to. The thing is, there are no scenarios under which you can test that right now because backfill doesn't work. Like, there's no way you could get the OSD to do it, even if you had the code for it. So.
But what if a pool is removed? So the
okay,
PG
that's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Yeah, we can.
That would be such a case.
Yeah, we can start
note
from
that
there and
all the hard parts of that code. So in Classic OSD, at least, the reason why that code, the PG removal code, is complicated is because PGs can come back after they go away. So just be careful of that. But yeah, that's another good thing to work on. If you want to create a task, if anyone wants to work on that, that would be good.
Is PG split and merge also necessary?
I'm going to
PG
punt on
split
split and merge for now. I suggest that we just do that. So what we can do is when we get a little closer to production, we can just say that any cluster that has Crimson OSDs in it, you're not allowed to change the PG num. That can be an alpha sort of scenario. We can do a great deal of testing without changing the PG num. It's important for real clusters, but it's not so important for proving that the core system works. It's also incredibly complicated to get right. For the same reason.
Do we have an index? So let's continue.
When you do a split, the child PGs have to consider, when they're doing recovery, things that happened in the past before the split happened. Like I said, recovery touches everything. So, for what it's worth, in SeaStor, I am considering split and merge. Like, there will be structures that are efficient for splitting and merging PG structures. But I'm not going to bother implementing it. I'm just going to ensure that the tree structures will make that tractable when we decide to do it. Provided that the PGs stay on the same shard, but that's a different problem. Ronan, does that help you with some things to do?
It wasn't me that asked for it this time. It was Radek. It was Radek that asked for a task this time.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Yeah, definitely recovery.
By the way,
Recovery is potentially several people worth of work. I got a few initial things done. Like there is now locking support, which you need to do backfill and recovery because you have to be able to stop writes while it's happening. So that support is in. Much of the peering stuff is wired up, and I think I got the async the reservers wired up as well, which ensures that you don't do 1,000 backfills to the same OSD at once, which was a problem early on. So that stuff's wired up, but the next steps are honestly harder. So,
do we have an index?
So just a reminder.
From our. Do we have an
just
index
one
apart
sentence?
from? Okay, go on.
I want to remind Sam to send the document.
I believe I just did. Did it not send?
And not where for the chat? No.
Oh no, I gave you edit access. It's in your email. Hang on, I'll add it to the chat also.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks.
Do we have in other words, do we have other bigger stories to put on our Kanban board? I saw that scrap cover are there. BlueStor, I believe the same. But do we have awareness about any other thing, bigger story, bigger bag of tasks for the future?
I think we're blocked on recovery. I think that's the next thing. You can only put it off for so long. And now that there's a BlueStor backend, it makes a great deal more sense because you can actually turn OSDs off and turn them back on, and have the data still be there. So it makes testing recovery a lot easier.
Yep, but even in Memster, it should be possible.
Sorry, it is. I agree, but you can't just turn an OSD with Memster off. You have to do a clean shutdown, which is very different.
Agreed.
Many scenarios can't happen if you do a clean shutdown.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Ronan.
Hi. I have a list and a few questions. I was working on a admin socket implementation. Is back for review. If you take a look and hopefully approve it. I hope there aren't any issues. This one. There are two questions I had regarding this. One, if you notice, I have a perf fails, the automatic perf test fails with strange compiler errors, which I couldn't understand the reason for. I am compiling both with Clang and GCC and testing, of course, before I deliver, and I'm not sure I understand. Someone can take a look and help me understand what's going on with the.
Could you point me to a link to the failure?
Yeah, I had it open 1 second. I had it open for the meeting. I lost it 1 second. Okay, in a minute I'll send it. I'll find it. And I don't want to hold you on this, but I'll find it in a second. Note that after the delivery, we have a problem with orderly shutdown because there is a bug that I talked about in SeaStor, in abort accept in SeaStor. Now, my patch was accepted and merged in SeaStor. So it is fixed now. SeaStor is now fixed. And I think we should consider updating our SeaStor version. There is one. Was an important delivery for SeaStor by Yingqing also regarding problems that we encounter in the tests, and there were a few other things that were merged regarding Clang, your work in Clang, Kifu, and others. So I think that we have a good reason to take a version of SeaStor at this point.
Probably the SeaStor module okay, to include the change you are proposing and adding
good,
your
thanks.
reviewer to make sure it's compiled on CLang.
Okay, and good. And another question I'm encountering with one of the things that's slowing me down is that I'm encountering internal errors in GCC, G++ compilation, which are sporadic. They are not repeatable, but when compiling a full Ceph or a full Crimson, I'm encountering almost every time. I have to repeat the build a few times until I get it done. Is it only me? Is it something that others notice? It's an internal error, and I know there is a patch seems related to it in GNU sources, but it's not merged. The GNU I'm using, GCC compiler I'm using. Do you encounter the same or something strange at my?
I'm not sure what the internal error you're looking at.
In general, I have seen GCC errors. That's a thing that's happened in my life. Were you able to identify which feature is causing it?
No, the files that are compiled are different. The files that are failing are different each time.
Were you able to get a dump or something associated with a bug report on?
I'm able to see such issues for even on Inserta under the assumption I have not enough memory and OM killer get rid of some internal processes GCC frontend spawns.
Oh, yeah, that'll definitely do it. Or you check the message and see if the OM killers is running.
We run into such kind of failure like a couple months ago, but I managed to split up the source file which caused this failure into smaller pieces. Where are you doing the build? Fixed.
Ronan, where are you doing the build?
And I will look. Sorry?
What are you building on?
My laptop.
Ah, yeah. How much memory does it have?
32 gig.
Oh,
and the job number.
That should be fine. What the hell?
Yeah, a lot.
How many jobs you started? Like?
Now I'm limited it to 4 jobs.
Yeah, that should be fine. My laptop with 16 gigs.
Yeah, definitely should be fine. I'm seeing that
I just built
Inserta
recently, but I didn't find the jobs.
So, Yingqing, what did you say?
Yeah. I just built recently, but I didn't notice the issue. Maybe it's environment specific.
Okay, I will.
I mean, you could actually
try to see if it's a memory issue.
GCC install. Bad disk.
That doesn't.
Is it just throwing IO errors?
Not IO errors. Internal error, which, like I said, I found a match in the bug reports of and a patch in GCC.
What's the GCC version are you using? I suggest you use the GC9 or 10 if possible.
I'm using an A9.
By the way, okay.
I'm on Fedora 31. Okay, and another issue is SeaStor with cgroup. I'm running Fedora 31, and SeaStor has a problem with cgroups. Fedora Fat 1. It's using cgroup v1, and Fedora is now cgroup v2. I will try to add minimal support for cgroup v2 to SeaStor if I find the time to do it. I'm not sure I understand why. It seems that SeaStor only looks at the top when talking about cgroups. SeaStor does not check the specific cgroup they are running it. They are just testing the highest level, the root level cgroup configuration. Probably it makes sense, but I will follow that with cgroup v2. And that's more or less what I did. I went over Yingqing patch, and yeah, it's a good idea to have this merged, like we said.
Thanks.
And that's for me.
Thanks, Ronan. Cam?
Hey, sorry. Okay, so I am currently making progress on implementing the actual writing to disk portion of the lowest level of SeaStor. From the document I sent out, this would be the segment manager, journal, and transaction manager. It's essentially responsible for taking a set of blocks and deltas and writing them to a segment sequentially with appropriate checksumming. What's up next is finishing that and then writing the logic for finding the beginning of the current journal sequence of deltas so they can be replayed. The step after that will be writing a dirty block cache because there's no way to do this without one, and then the actual LBA tree implementation. Kifu, I'll have a look at yours, but it's missing a lot.
Yes,
that also means it's
correctly.
potentially good. It's just that the reason I haven't written the tree part yet is that there's a lot that I don't know about the way the next two interface layers are going to work. I'm going to send you an email with my branch and where I am. But the short answer is I think something like this could work. It's just I don't know yet. I know for sure that I don't want to decode blocks. I would like the B-tree implementation to work directly in terms of the in-memory state. I don't want to do a memory copy back into an array, right? That's when I look at a block, I want to deal direct.
And it wanted to decipher the blocks.
I don't want to decipher them at all.
No.
I want an on-disk layout that is tolerable for treating as an in-memory layout, so that I can just pull the block directly into memory and then interpret it directly. Which will be a little bit tricky, but I'm not sure to what extent that's going to work yet. So,
you mentioned you don't want to do the memory copy. What do you mean by you don't want to do the memory copy?
Okay, so for instance, in your branch, you have a standard array of.
Yes.
Of
because we need to have a full copy in memory.
I'm sorry?
Because we need to have the full copy of the
Yeah, that's true, but you have to make a second copy. Yeah, but you have to make a second copy if you do it that way. Because if you a standard array
do some mem map.
No. We can do a copy from the device into memory. I just don't want to do a second copy. I don't want to decode it, in other words. I want to treat the memory block directly, unless the intention is for this array to be.
I think the memory layout is identical to the disk, the on-disk memory the layout.
Array
so I want to do. Array is like a C array.
That's true.
It's just a fancy version of the implementation in C++.
That's true. So the intention here, but the other members of the struct are a block pointer, which is an in-memory thing, right? That's a mem pointer. Yes. And you have a count and a level. Is the intention for this struct to actually be 4K in size? Is that the idea?
Because I really want to cache the pointer without referencing the LBA tree. Without it, I always need to check out the lookup table.
No, I got that, but I want to cache it at the block level. I want to cache the blocks directly. So there might be a header for each block that has some additional information like pointers, but the block itself I want to be uninterpreted. Because it has four kilobytes of keys and values, and I don't want to decode those into an array. The keys and values aren't even necessarily adjacent, right?
Can value not necessarily to be adjacent, right? It's just
With this implementation, it is. I think.
okay.
You have a key, which is thing. Again, not that this is necessarily a problem. I'm just saying these are the decisions I haven't quite made yet, and I won't really know until I figure out how I want the cache interface to work.
Okay. I don't think I defined the key. It can be anything comparable. It should be defined by the user, like if it's,
yes, but the fact that it's a standard array means that it's an array of pairs, right? So a pair is an adjacent two things in memory. So unless this array happens to have identical in-memory layout to how it's going to sit on disk, which I don't think it does, then you have to do a decode.
Actually, I think it does, but I would try to look.
Maybe you're right. Okay. Well, if it does, then that's fair.
Because that's an idea to make it identical representation in memory and on disk.
Okay. Well, that's totally fair then. So the other piece I'm not sure about. I can't make a comment on this, unfortunately. I'm going to send you an email, though.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but the larger thing is just I have to implement 2 more layers of interface before I know exactly what I'm going to want here, if that makes sense. Now, it's a lot more likely that this will work for the O-node tree and the B tree and the OMAP trees.
LBA.
No, well, the LBA tree is super weird because it has physical addresses and its write-out rules are going to be really strict. By contrast, you can actually overwrite, sort of, an LBA, right? So the trees that are at a higher level don't really have the same rules. They behave more like a conventional B tree.
You mean LBA tree?
No, I mean the LBA tree is special. It behaves more like a Btrfs tree. But the other trees, the O-node tree and the OMAP tree, they use logical indirections. So you can rewrite one of these blocks without changing the parents. You have to change the LBA tree parents, but that's hidden 1 layer down. If that makes sense.
I think it.
Anyway,
LBA tree we can only use the physical address. Sure. Okay. Shuhan.
Last week I was mainly going over the recovery and backfill machinery and preparing to implement that machinery in the Crimson OSD, and I was also trying to finish the Crimson recovery documents that Sam just posted, and that's pretty much for me.
Thank you. Yixing.
Sorry, I just muted myself. Yeah. Last week I finished the fix and the simplification of messenger interfaces, and there are impact to the OSD, how OSD uses the messenger. So please help review this part. I think that's the most important change. And I also sent the SeaStor extension to the Google group, but there's no reply yet. And that's all from me.
So your change is still incomplete regarding to the impact on Crimson OSD, right?
Sorry?
So your change is still missing the change regarding to the Crimson OSD. It only contains the change to Messenger and the test exercising it.
No, my Crimson change is complete.
Okay,
It
cool.
applies to all the unit tests and the OSDs. So that's why there's a number of code, but the core part is the messenger interface change and the impact to the Chromosome OSD. I think
Okay,
that's
I'll take a look at it.
yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And by the way,
comment?
you also a playground on it.
No, sorry. Finish with Yingqing, unrelated comment.
I just want to check with you, Yingqing. Did you update your change with regarding to the SeaStor branch?
No.
Okay.
This SeaStor is not merged either in Ceph SeaStor or in Visual Repo.
Okay.
I thought it was merged there. Sorry.
No. I said there's no replies yet in the Google group. I just sent out yesterday.
Okay, probably I need to apply it manually to our branch before we merge your change to Crimson OSD in the test cases.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Yingqing.
Okay.
Any questions?
Just one comment. Chungi, go ahead.
Go on.
Sorry.
Please. You go on.
Okay. Okay. Just wanted to remind everybody that I suggested a specific set of Clang format rules that we can use to automatically format our code, at least the Crimson code. I copied them as part of the PR. I'm listing here now the PR I'm talking about. Take a look. This is what I used to format the files that I added in this specific PR. I think I almost matched what I saw in our code till now.
Which files did you look at? If I might ask.
Just take a look in the link at the PR comment, at the PR header.
It's in the commit message, I think.
Oh, okay.
And in the commit message too. In the PR message, in the commit message. Both you have the same lines. Take a look, try it, and let's agree on. I don't care exactly what we agree on, but let's agree on a set of Clang format rules and use them. It simplifies our work and saves a lot of time for me, at least.
I don't see the part. I don't see the reference for which files you looked at to guide the thing.
Just take a look at the files in this PR. All the files in all the new files in this PR are everything under Crimson admin. Everything under Crimson admin.
No, what I meant is the goal here should be to match one of the existing subtrees as closely as possible.
I was looking around in the Crimson files.
I'm also curious. What's the net result after you applying this CLAN format rule to existing Crimson tree? Is there a lot of divergence between existing code and to the?
I mean, at first glance, this all looks fine. Here. Except that your comment format is still, Ronan, the comment format is still different from what the rest of the Ceph tree uses. Which is okay. I guess we can choose to do that, but I don't really want to.
Okay, there are two different issues. Let's talk about it. But first, the Clang format doesn't change the comment format, so that's unrelated issue, as far as I know.
Okay.
And so this is one issue that I'd love that you take a look at it. And the second, I did try after your comments. I did try to copy the what did I do wrong in the comment format now.
Well,
I thought I managed to.
No, I asked you about it and you said you didn't want to change it, so you left it. The
No,
normal,
no.
many files work like this. Wow, that's not useful at all. Usually the trailing lines have asterisks at the beginning. At least in a lot of subtrees.
Okay.
Certainly in the OSD subtrees.
Okay, I will. No problem. I didn't notice that. I have no problem with doing that. This is not.
It's not
That's
a
not
huge
what
deal.
the issue.
I just, if at all humanly possible, I would like to select a style that's the same as one of the styles that already exist in the Ceph
No
Ceph
problem.
project. There are a few different ones.
No problem. I have no issue with this. No problem. The only issue, my only suggestion is I will fix that in the next PR, but just take a look at the unrelated issue of the Clang format lines.
Is it possible to get the comment format as part of that thing? You don't have to do it in this commit. I'm just curious.
I think it is. I'm not sure.
We'll have to look at it in the future.
I try.
Convenient. Okay, so while we're on the subject of formatting minutia, who actually likes the things after namespaces that indicate which namespace it opened? Or in the closing brace with the comment that indicates the name? I actually hate that.
I like it because it helps.
Sorry.
Okay. If people like it, we can keep it.
It doesn't. It helps. It saves a jump back to the origin, to the other side of the file to see what there is there. And with Clang format, it's added.
That's only true when it's correct.
Yes,
exactly.
But the Clang format makes it correct. That's the nice thing about it.
Oh, okay. I can live with that then. If it's trustworthy, then that's not so bad.
I'll check if I can get it wrong and it won't be fixed, but it's done automatically correctly by Clang format. I didn't add them manually.
Okay, that's okay then. That's always been my biggest bugbear with them. I don't like seeing them in diffs and I don't trust them. But if there's a tool that's doing them automatically, then I can live with that.
Okay.
Okay. That's all I've got.
Anything else?
Sorry?
I have just one question. I didn't hear clearly. Did Sam share some new documents about the SeaStor transaction manager? I don't know.
I can send the same email to you guys too, but the truth is I've rewritten that code 3 times in the last 3 days. So unless you want,
okay.
Like I'm giving it to Kifu because he's working on the B-tree code. I'm going to send him an email. If anyone else wants to see the branch, it's this one. But seriously, it doesn't always even make sense. Here's the branch. I'm making no attempt whatsoever to keep the commits clean, and it's a complete mess. Sometimes it even compiles, but not all the time.
Oh, okay. I got it. Thank you.
Like there isn't even anything yet that writes to disk. I'm not willing to commit to my disk interface yet, so I just wrote a quick in-memory mock so it'll build. Like there's a lot missing. I'm trying to start with the highest. I think the interface for doing writes to disk transactionally is the most brittle, complicated choice, and everything else consumes that interface. So I'm trying to get that marginally correct first before I commit to any other interfaces. It's a little weirder than a normal transaction interface because when you're doing writes, you don't know the offset yet. So you need to give the next layer up the opportunity to fix the blocks it's writing before they go to disk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay.
Oh, Kefu.
A good day and have a good night.
Question.
Oh, sorry.
So
Big
for
on.
the alien store, and when we set it as SMP equal to 1, and SeaStor reactor will not set up the communication queue between the alien and the SeaStor thread. So I have to change the code to make that when it check the CPU number bigger 1 to bigger and equal 1, so that it set up the queue. Do I need to apply a new PR for the SeaStor?
Okay. I didn't realize that.
I have to
So
change it, otherwise they couldn't communicate between the aliens and the SeaStor.
I need to look into it, but the problem is that we need to have at least one. I really need to look into SeaStor SeaStor to understand why we have such restriction. I think we added this restriction couple months ago to address the test failure with the alien. I think we made that change for some reason.
You already changed it? It's not.
No, I think what I mean is that we changed it for some reason. I'd like to understand why and revert the change if it's not correct.
I think it was there. It was always there as part of SeaStor. I remember it mentioned by Chun Mei months ago that it's part of SeaStor the way it is. But okay, never mind.
I think
So
let's take a look.
You can do the alien test, but set the SMP equal to 1, and then
yes,
you can check if the queue is set up.
Yes, I will do.
Yeah.
I will get it back and send a mail and copy it to you. Okay. Okay. Let's conclude this meeting. Talk to you guys later. Probably next week.
See you.
See you.
See you.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next week. Have nice holidays. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.